Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben, amateur call sign K0BJJ, and you're watching Spotter Jutting Amateur Radio. Today we are going to be talking about what is amateur radio, and we're going to get right into that right after this. So if you're still here after that, amateur radio is a group of individuals that are licensed through the Federal Communications Council, and it's not just the United States. They're licensed through their government worldwide. And we practice long-range communications, short-range communications, tactical communications. We just like to communicate on certain frequency space delegated by our governments using a variety of different radios. So, that being said, if you want to get into this hobby, if you're looking to get into this hobby, there's one real easy way you could do that. You could win your first radio. And how do you do that? Well, you subscribe to this channel, because at 500 subscribers, everyone, we're going to give away a handheld radio, at least one. I heard rumors that someone's going to donate another one. The No-Cotec's crazy, by the way. Check out his channel. He's already donated one radio. He's talking about donating another. And if you are with us at 500 subscribers, at least with the channel at 500 subscribers, you have the opportunity to win that. So you could get your first radio for free. Now, what could you do with that radio? Well, a handheld radio or an HT. Like this Anytone. Not saying this Anytone. It's not an Anytone that you put in the box, guys. It's a Yaesu. I think it's FT65 or FT60. But anyway, and handheld radio like this, you can talk to other people's. With handheld radios like this is a 5-watt output. This will get me roughly 10 miles, just radio to radio, depending on elevation. If you're on top of a mountain, that 10 miles goes into like 200 miles. And if you're jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, like my friend Carlos over in Illinois, Indiana, I think he jumps out of Rochelle, Illinois. Life at terminal velocity. I'll tag him in the description below. I'll put him in the description below. But yeah, he gets really good distance off of a handheld when he's jumping out of a perfectly good aircraft. I still think he's nuts for doing it, but Carlos, you're awesome. Keep working your 2-meter contacts. If you get a radio that is able to do digital mobile radio, or DMR, or some of the other digital radio protocols, there's D-Star, there's Yaesu System Fusion, there's several of them. I personally use DMR. With this radio and this hotspot and an internet connection, I can talk all over the world, and I have talked all over the world. I've made contacts in Japan, Australia, the UK. Literally, the sky is the limits. But at the base of it, with your technician's license, with a cheap radio, such as the radio antenna you stay sticking out back here, that's a $35 Baofeng UV 5R, which is probably the single most popular starter radio on the market. You can work repeaters, which will give you anywhere between 10 and 40 miles, depending on your repeater and depending how well you can hit it. I've got one 3 miles away, well, not even 3 miles away, which I can queue up, and that gives me roughly 30 miles of distance that I can talk to on this handheld. I also have a 50-watt mobile here, and I've got an external antenna, which I'll probably overlay some pictures here of my outside setup, my tower, and my HF antenna, as well as my mobile setup. I have a 50-watt mobile setup also. With those different setups, with those radios, I can talk roughly 30 to 40 miles one way. So the biggest thing when it comes to 2-meter 440 or 2-meter 70 centimeter VHF, UHF, height is your friend and power is your friend. If you have a lot of height, you don't need a lot of power. If you have a lot of power, you still might need some height. You still got to get over obstacles. So those are just some things you can do. If you really like playing with power and want to crank it up to full legal limit and put up a nice antenna array, I encourage you look up Moon Bounce for VHF, UHF. That's where they literally bounce signals off the moon. and make contacts back on Earth. I mean, that's really cool. I love looking at those setups. They're quite elaborate, they're really expensive, and they take up a lot of space generally. So something to look into. I got in amateur radio for doing emergency communications work. It was storm spotting, storm chasing that pulled me into it. I wasn't planning on getting into the high frequency spectrum or my general class license until my Parks on the Air Elmer, Micah, W0WTM, who is a local ham to me, took me out and showed me how fun bouncing signals off the ionosphere really is, and sitting at a park 15 minutes away and contacting people overseas really was. So that's what got me to upgrade into my general class. That also allows me to do long-range emergency communications, whether it is helping out with a local emergency and using an HF radio such as my ICOM 718 back here, or my Yaesu FT891 if I'm out in the field, which is actually in a box right below you. Whether it be using those and certain antenna types to bounce local traffic, to talk long range, I can move communications traffic, whether it be health and welfare, emergency, logistical data, anywhere in the state to anywhere in the world just by amateur radio. And that's kind of where I got in here. So that might be getting into why you want to get into amateur radio. You might be into the service aspect. You might want to help out with the Chicago Marathon. You might want to help out with the Fight for Air Climb here in Des Moines. You might just be a group of, kids in your local middle school that think that, you want to be astronauts someday and really do want to be astronauts someday, and go, hey, what can I do in middle school to help me get into a space program? And believe it or not, amateur radio is a really good step in that direction, because you can talk to NASA astronauts. You hit in your Google search bar, kids. Amateur radio operator talks to space station. Talking to space station with amateur radio. Look it up. The videos are out there. It happens. I can, with my setup, talk to the International Space Station. There's no limit to what I can do. My only limit is how much power I can put out and the frequency space I can use, because the FCC tells me that I can only put out 1,500 watts at my peak power, and I can only use a certain frequency space due to my licensing class. Which brings me on to why you want to get licensed, why you should get licensed. You should get licensed so you can start playing in these areas, so you can start experimenting, so you can start building antennas. There's a friend of mine just an hour or two north of me, up near the mighty town of Hampton, Iowa, who has literally put anything you can think of on the air as an antenna. We are farm boys here. We are small town country folk. He has put a silo on the air. He has put a dumpster on the air. He has put a gator on the air. He has put a boat on the air. He has put creek water on the air. And when I mean on the air, I mean he is calling out and making contacts using all these different things as antennas. And I have just scratched the surface. Look him up, Ham Radio QRP K0KLB. Kevin up there near Hampton, an amazing guy. I hope to have him on the channel someday. Literally, the sky is the limit with what you can do with amateur radio, the different experiments you can do, and the different things you can do. I got into it for storm spotting and storm chasing. Other people get into it because they like the fact that they can talk all over the world. Other people get into it because they've been listening to shortwave radio and go, hey, I might want to try transmitting sometime. Literally, the sky is the limit with what you can do. And getting licensed is that first step. I want to thank everyone for watching today. These guys right over here, they're the ones that are funding the channel right now. They're the ones that hit the QR code that you've seen on the screen all day, and they've donated money. They've sent me money in PayPal. They've donated resources, whether it be solar panels. Again, thank you, KE0ZZO, Tyler. He's our latest donation. They've donated radios for our giveaways, such as the NoCo Tech with the Yaesu handheld that's in the giveaway that's going to go up at 500 subscribers. They're donating soldering stations. Thank you again, Plasma Storm. Again, all these people that you just saw that are probably long gone for next to me, they have contributed in some way. So I want to take a special time to thank them. I want to thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next video.